started. Today I'm going to call to order the meeting, and we're going to start with the pledge of allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And would please be silent for your meditation for a minute or so, please. Thank you very much. We have roll call, please.
Mr. Betkowski.
Here.
Mr. Bonarotti. Mr. DeMarco.
Here.
Ms. Filiaggi. Here. Mr. Fatulis.
Here.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Here.
Ms. Hallam. Mr. Klein.
Here.
Mr. Macy.
Present.
Ms. Nagarati-Chapkus.
Here.
Mr. Palmieri.
Here.
Mr. Palmasina.
Here.
Ms. Pritzio. Mr. Walton. Here. President Katina.
Here.
We have 13 members present at the moment.
Get started this evening. We have our Chief Executive's quarterly address to begin the proceedings tonight. Would you please? Good evening.
Good evening, Council. How are we doing today? Wonderful. Well, thank you for having me to offer my second quarterly address. So really, my driving vision for this administration has been building an Allegheny County that works for us all. And what that means is we're creating a space where everyone feels safe in their communities, connected to their neighbors, and has the opportunity to thrive. So one way we set the foundation to deliver on that promise and that vision is through our extensive transition committee and community engagement work. In April, our transition committee wrapped up and delivered the results of our All-In Allegheny survey. From those results and nearly 700,000 data points that we reviewed and collected, we released a 91-point action plan to help guide the work of county government for my first term as county executive. And I'm pleased to report that we're already making progress in a few key areas, including expanding voter access by adding more locations for staffed mail-in ballot return locations across the county, moving forward with the creation of a new housing advisory committee under the Board of Health to better protect the health and safety of some of our most vulnerable citizens, and launching 500 in 500, a collaborative countywide effort that will create hundreds of permanent, deeply affordable housing units available for people who are exiting homelessness. So I'm going to start with giving an update on some of the departments. So first off is elections. So in April, the Elections Division managed a very successful and very uneventful election, which is the best kind. I'm pleased to say that our ballot return sites ran smoothly and were used by thousands of residents across the county. We had a record number of poll workers working in April and actually had to turn away people looking to be poll workers because we were at capacity, which is an incredible achievement by our elections team. Planning is already underway for the general election now, and we are ready to have poll workers sign up for November if they are interested in working in the general. I look forward to additional updates from the Elections Division being presented to myself and my fellow Board of Election members, Council members DeMarco and Hallam, later this summer. Our public works have been very busy. The Department of Public Works has recently begun using an innovative application that helps the department analyze traffic patterns related to speeding, safety, and congestion. That allows our traffic engineers to respond more quickly and effectively to speeding complaints from the public, proactively find and mitigate roadway safety issues, and measure the effectiveness of traffic calming measures that we may attempt at the county. The department recently completed the replacement of 3 bridges, one in North Fayette, one in Elizabeth Township, and one in Fawn. 2 of those bridges were rated as being poor condition when they were replaced. In 2014, the county had 65 bridges in poor condition, to put that into context. Since then, there has been a 72% reduction in bridges in poor condition. The county now only has 18 bridges in poor condition, and 2 of them are currently under construction. So something that has been in the news quite a bit has been the future of downtown and its impact on the broader economic future of our region. And this remains a pressing concern for my administration. And just a few weeks ago, I joined with Mayor Allegheny and partners from the business community to present a collective vision for revitalizing downtown. This vision not only contemplates the diverse economy of downtown, but also creates a plan to make significant investments in the public realm, investments in our community and cultural assets that foster a vibrant and thriving 18-hour neighborhood. And right now, we're currently looking at all sources of public and private investment, from traditional economic development to how we deploy human services resources to ensure that a reimagined downtown is a robust driver of our region's economic future and a place that welcomes everyone. And a lot of that work has centered around advocacy in Harrisburg. In Harrisburg, we've advocated for resources to help convert open office space to residential units, which is critical for the revitalization of downtown. We've also advocated for increased financial support for childcare, both paying workers a living wage and subsidizing the cost of childcare for working families. These are some of our top priorities for investment from our state and federal partners and critical to our economic development plan. Collaboration is key to realizing any of our goals, and I'm particularly proud of our partnership with our federal partners, Senator Casey, Senator Fetterman, Congresswoman Lee, and Congressman DeLuzio, to prioritize key initiatives here in Allegheny County within the congressional appropriation process for fiscal year 2025. And we've been busy making asks of them, whether it's affordable housing throughout the county, workforce development initiatives in Rankin, transit access improvement between Homestead and McKeesport, flood control efforts in Turtle Creek, complete streets in Monroeville, or key funding for Alcosan and airport infrastructure. These requests represent impactful investments that are critical to the future of Allegheny County. One exciting thing that happened this past May is that we launched Allegheny Go with PRT CEO Catherine Kellerman and DHS Director Aaron Dalton, and we announced that all SNAP recipients in Allegheny County are now eligible for half-price bus fare through the new Allegheny Go program. Yay! Yeah, we can clap for that. That program is now up and running, and people are able to enroll at discountedfares.alleghenycounty.us. That's discountedfares.alleghenycounty.us. There are also materials that exist in Spanish there as well to make sure that everyone can get access to this vital program. And we know that transit is a lifeline, and I'm pleased that we are able to make good on the promise of bringing reduced fares to low-income transit riders now throughout Allegheny County. Speaking of PRT, I also announced 4 new PRT board members this June: Emma Shoker, Tia McClenny, Thomas Brogrunder, and Bobby Fan. I'm excited to bring their diverse perspectives and deep expertise to the board. I look forward to council approving Bobby and Tom's appointment today. So it's a summertime, the sun is shining, the pools are open, and the Parks Department is busy. The summer concert series at Heartwood Acres and South Park are underway. I'm pleased to report that we hired a capacity number of lifeguards, 220, because of the incredible work of our Parks Department. And I know since the pandemic, lifeguard recruitment has posed a challenge for the past few summers in a row, and I'm pleased that we've rebounded tremendously. North Park, Settlers Cabin, and Boyce Park all opened their pools the first weekend in June. And I joined many families at Baby Palooza on June 15th to celebrate the new baby pool and splash pad area at our wonderful North Park pool. I'm also very happy to share that the South Park pool, which was delayed opening this year due to some necessary rehabilitation and replacement of a pool liner, will reopen this week. So if you're free on the 4th of July, join Councilman Grisbeck and I as we sling some popsicles out to folks who will be having a great time at the South Park wave pool and celebrating Independence Day. And, you know, normally I have only pleasant news to share about our parks, but this time I have some kind of bittersweet news. Our longtime Parks Director, Andy Beckley, informed me that he is ready to retire. We thank Director Beckley for his incredible service to our Parks Department. His energy, creativity, and good nature will be sorely missed, and we are going to wish him a happy retirement, and we are working with him for a smooth transition. Well, he is very much irreplaceable. We do have to try, and so we will be working closely with him to find a suitable replacement towards the end of summer and early fall. So we've been busy hiring. So not only do we have to hire a new Parks Director, but we've made some progress since my last quarterly address to council and elevated some people into new leadership roles. We've hired a new Facilities Director, Tony McCabe. We've promoted our Deputy Sustainability Director, Brittany Prishak, to the Director of Sustainability. And on June 24th, the Board of Health voted to hire Dr. Julian Vaughn as our new Director of the Allegheny County Health Department, an absolute critical position that oversees the vast and diverse responsibilities in the public health realm. And I look forward to welcoming Dr. Van starting next month. Melanie Ondyke joined the county as our first ever grants manager, and we're thrilled to have her in that position to help find the county even more money. We also announced a search process for the new warden for the Allegheny County Jail. I want to thank Councilmember Hallam for serving on that search committee. We've hired a search firm as well that will be conducting interviews now with jail staff, advocates, people who've previously been incarcerated, and other community voices who have a stake in what kind of values and experience they want to see from a new warden. If you know someone who is interested in connecting with the search firm, please direct them to Darla Cravata, who is in our executive office. So switching gears, I want to thank Councilperson Prizio for spearheading the efforts here in the county to develop our first ever climate action plan to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. Yeah, we love that. The county is now embarking on our first ever climate action plan. At the beginning of June, the county issued a request for qualifications to identify a firm to help lead this effort. We will develop an external advisory group to support the climate action planning process. That group will include representatives from a diversity of sectors, representatives of the environmental justice communities, and members of frontline communities as well. Our county departments will make up an internal working group that represents county operations to identify strategies to improve the resilience of county assets while implementing sustainable best practices. These two groups will come together to build an actionable, implementable climate action plan. So I want to address a tragedy that just happened a few weeks ago, which is the fire that shut down our homeless shelter, 2nd Avenue Commons, on June 4th. While we are grateful that no one was seriously injured or killed, it is still a terrible and traumatizing event for the residents, guests, and staff of 2nd Avenue Commons. I want to thank our first responders, including city firefighters, who mobilized so quickly. DHS staff and other Second Avenue Commons partners moved quickly to get everyone sheltered at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center that night. Everyone worked so well together and really seamlessly activated emergency plans. On Saturday, June 15th, 94 individuals moved from the convention center to a facility owned by Pittsburgh Mercy on the north side on Reedsdale Street. Other 2AC guests found shelter beds at other facilities, and residents who were staying at the apartments in 2AC on the upper floors are being rehoused through their property manager. Unfortunately, the damage to that building is extensive. We anticipate it could be months until it's fully reopened. We appreciate that all the partners who have stepped up in whatever way is possible to make sure that this gets done quickly and we move people in there as fast as possible. And it's kind of ironic that this fire happened about 48 hours before a major policy announcement from my administration called 500 in 500. Again, it's a countywide collaborative effort to find 500 units of deeply subsidized affordable housing units in the next 500 days. So the clock is ticking. And this is going to help people who are stable and ready to live on their own transition out of homelessness and using our shelter system. All of council was invited to attend that announcement, and I appreciated seeing some of you there to stand in solidarity to address this urgent crisis, including Councilman Grisbeck and Councilwoman Filiaggi. We've heard from one former Second Avenue Common resident there. I got to meet this woman named Pam Steimer. So Pam moved into motels, spending most of her paychecks on motel bills while trying to find affordable housing. Despite moving between motels, rent prices and security deposit demands kept her from securing an apartment. Pam was working 2 jobs, but she still found herself homeless after she was priced out of her apartment. She ended up staying at Second Avenue Commons for 5 months, but she never gave up. The DHS team helped her find an apartment, and now she's back in a place of her own. She's cooking in her own kitchen. She has her own belongings around her. She doesn't have to cart them around with her every day. Pam is such a lovely person and just the kind of neighbor I would certainly love to have. And it's what 500 and 500 is all about. It's about helping people who are stable and ready to be back on their feet find an affordable place to live in a community where they can be connected to their neighbors, where they can be safe. And that means they're not staying on a mat on the floor. And we need your help, all of you, to welcome people like Pam to your neighborhood so that we can make 500 and 500 a success. And if you do have questions about the plan, I encourage you to reach out to our new Director of Housing, Ed Nusser, who is here. He'd be happy to discuss how we're leveraging federal ARPA dollars to bring vacant units back online, collaborating with public housing authorities and developers to connect people with open units, and so much more. The fire at 2AC really underscored the need for this program. We cannot build an endless stream of homeless shelters. We need to help people get services they need to get back on their feet and help them find stable, affordable, permanent housing, not just a mat on the floor in a basement. Last week, when the Supreme Court ruled that it is now legal to penalize people who are living outside, I announced that we will not be changing a thing about Allegheny County's approach to serving all of our residents with dignity and care. Our homeless neighbors deserve dignity and a full life, just like each and every one of us. So that's the updates that I have for you. We've reached the halfway point in my first year in office, and I want to thank you for your work and continue to foster the spirit of collaboration with council. And I want to thank all of the county employees for your professionalism and your hard work in getting us through the first 6 months, and 6 months and 6 months after that too. And And Council, you likely saw Controller O'Connor's report last week about the state of our revenue and expenditures. My administration inherited some serious financial challenges, and I do agree with his top-line analysis that while in the short term we are doing fine, we are going to need to make some adjustments moving forward. And I want to acknowledge the importance of the federal COVID relief money, including the nearly $400 million in American Rescue Plan Act money that helped close gaps in the past few years. Those funds are winding down, and we will need to make some important decisions to maintain our fiscal health together. My next anticipated address to this body will be about the introduction of our budget. A budget is a statement of our government's priorities, and I look forward to collaborating with Council to prioritize the quality of life of our residents and a sustainable future here in Allegheny County. And while the work continues, I'm heartened by the progress we have made to date, and I look forward to our continued partnership in creating an Allegheny County for all. And now I'd be happy to take some questions from Council.
Anyone have any questions? Anyone?
Sure. I thought you would get down the row there.
Well, we could do that.
Thank you for your second report, and I know it's not easy getting into a region like ours that's had some difficult times. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Hacker's report on the health and well-being of the Mon Valley, and then also the most recent report from the Jefferson Regional Foundation. It's amazing over more than a decade that things haven't got better in the Mon Valley. When I say the Mon Valley, I'm talking about Turtle Creek Valley on down to Forward Township. Our median income, 50% of the people are below the poverty level. Homes are just falling apart. We do have the industrial RIDC, but that's a separate entity. That's not Allegheny County per se, or the communities that I serve. And I was just wondering, at some point, after the closing of the steel mills and all the other related businesses that supported the steel mills, when is the Mon Valley's turn to see economic development, to see affordable housing, to see better health? In the reports of Dr. Hacker, if you was a black male, your life expectancy was 6 years less than the average white male. And the infant mortality and other health issues haven't really been better. I'm giving you all the time in the world. We certainly have some people, leadership in the Mon Valley that would like to meet with you, and we'd certainly like to share our plight. This has been going on for 40 years, maybe even longer. The mills started shutting down in the early 80s, and we haven't seen any significant change or growth. Our housing is deplorable. The roads are deplorable. The Versailles Avenue Bridge in McKeesport, it's been sitting there blocked off. Communications is almost non-existent. So I'm not trying to put you on a spot, but we definitely would like to see someone to take a look at our area and make some suggestions. I mean, we have a lot of suggestions, but we'd certainly like to see some progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Macy. I know you're passionate about making sure that we're investing and paying attention to the Mon Valley. I was actually just there yesterday in Braddock, announcing $1 million investment in a facility that will serve as a innovative food manufacturing space, and overall found out that Allegheny County Department of Economic Development has invested $8 million in Braddock, but not nearly enough, and Braddock is not the entire Mon Valley.
No.
But we look forward to getting that meeting on the books with many key stakeholders in the Mon Valley and really coming together to figure out a strategic plan for the vision of the future of Mon Valley.
Well, I appreciate that, and I just, it's not just McKeesport, it's Braddock, it's North Braddock, it's East McKeesport, it's East Pittsburgh. I've lived there my whole life. I've never seen something that's in such despair. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Palmieri, President. County Executive Innamorato, we have, as you can see, a full house here this evening, and we have 18 people who are registered to speak with us this evening and present information on behalf of one particular item, and it's the Climate Action Plan. And so you had talked a little bit about the advisory board that will be established. Can you talk just very briefly about how you envision that advisory board to come together and to work with a consultant that the RFQ will identify, and what that process might look like moving forward for creating a plan for the county?
Yeah, absolutely. We are looking at creating, well, like I said, we issued the RFQ. We had a tremendous response from people locally, nationally, who've created climate action plans with jurisdictions our size. One of the key components of issuing that RFQ was a mandate that they had a demonstrated history of community engagement and small d democracy when it came to developing these plans. So upon selection of the consultants, we will work with them to establish an advisory board that's a good cross-section of parties that would be interested in the success of a collaborative and realistic and implementable climate action plan, really focusing on what the county can do, and given our tools and resources and capacity. And we look forward to getting that person, selecting that consultant, and moving forward with the plan.
Thank you. And then the work that's been done by community members to date, do you envision that the advisory that's created will take that information that's been pulled together by residents across the county who have been working to help kind of guide what that plan could look like?
Yeah, so as when I was in the State House, I sat on the state's Climate Change Advisory Council, and we were responsible for helping to do the state's climate action plan every 3 years. And part of that was, them looking at the Department of Environmental Protection, looking at the municipal level plans that were created to help inform a broader statewide plan. So I don't feel like we're starting from nothing. We're starting very much from the advocacy that has happened throughout Allegheny County, the work that many of the municipalities that you all represent have done through their own climate action planning, intergovernmental agency groups like Connect and the work that they've done. So we truly have a lot to build upon when it comes to implementing our own plan and taking those ideas and putting them in the context of what is, again, actionable from given the county's powers and jurisdiction.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hi, Ace. Thanks for coming today. I just have a couple questions, mainly around two topics. The first one is you mentioned the budget and working collaboratively with council about it. And so I was just wondering if you could speak a little bit to how your administration will handle the initial presentation of the budget differently than the previous administration, where we found out about the budget when it was presented to us when they came and did their address. So I'm just wondering if you have any plans for ahead of your introduction of your budget, working with us to make sure that things that we want to prioritize are included in the introduction.
Yeah, and the thing about working with all of you is also about working with the community and ensuring that there's community voice folded into our budget. One of the 91 points in the action plan is to move towards a more participatory budgeting model. We won't be able to stand that up in the next 6 months, but there's ways that we can start to engage the general public in a conversation around understanding what the county budget is, how they can participate in identifying what their priorities are, and just really make things like our comprehensive fiscal plan more accessible to the communities so that they understand where their dollars are going and how they're being utilized in their community. So I really can't speak to how the prior administration operated, but we plan to have conversations not only with you all early and often, but creating tools so the general public can get a sense of how, what decisions they would make as far as prioritizing things that the county funds.
Okay, but specifically council, like we will be included prior to the presentation to council of the budget?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, great. The next question is about, I know you said direct 500 to 500 to Ed, but I just have a kind of basic overarching question about it is, I'm so excited about it. I know how much it is needed. Is there any timeline on when like the first batch may be available and where specifically those people, I know will come in batches till we get to the 500, where specifically those people will come from? Will they come from like the Allegheny link list, or will it be specifically like going to Second Ave and taking those SRO folks?
Yeah, we actually have a website that has a tracker on like how many units we're adding, like towards the 500, and that website is, we're going to find it.
What is it? Is it 0 right now, or are we at a number?
We launched with a number of units available. So those units, so the list is a list that's managed by Department of Human Services. So these are folks who we know are utilizing the shelter system, and they will get priority. So the units come online in a number of ways. The ones that have currently come online has been streamlining bureaucracies that exist within our housing authority and getting them to better collaborate with Department of Human Services. And through that work, they went from housing something like single digits, maybe 6 people a year from our from that list of shelter users to moving to more like 20 a month. So we've seen a tremendous increase in that. And we also have a number of developers that we're working to bring on board so that they can, when they have units and they have mandates from like the low-income housing tax credit development tool, that we can help fill their units with folks who are experiencing housing instability.
Okay, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And you mentioned Second Avenue Commons. I spent a lot of time with those folks, and I first of all just want to give you a ton of credit for how quickly you and DHS worked together to make sure that there was as smooth as it could be transition from being on the street outside of Second Ave to the convention center and now to the North Side location. The one thing that I am most concerned about is, so there were about 180 folks in Second Ave, and then you mentioned the 94 number that moved to the convention center. And then since then, I know of at least a few dozen folks who have been displaced even from the emergency options for a variety of reasons, whether it be altercations, other personal issues that have led to them being removed. And it seems that a big hole that we have since we lost Second Avenue is the overflow. Is just, I'm a person on the street, I need somewhere to just go tonight and sleep. And the emergency location doesn't have the capacity for that. So is there any active plan in the works to just be a drop-in site for people to get shelter at night?
We are exploring options. We don't have any to announce yet. What we are doing, because Second Avenue Commons being offline, that also provided medical care for people. So One Smithfield Street, which is where DHS is located, people can go and schedule appointments. So they can't do walk-ins, but they can go in there and schedule appointments and still be seen by a physician or a healthcare specialist. So that will continue. And we will look for other options, and hopefully we have a timeline soon on when 2AC will be back online.
Yeah, it cannot happen soon enough. I'm sure you
know.
feel similarly. Next
And I
thing.
also,
Oh, yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
before you
No.
move on, just want to thank you for officiating a wedding
Oh, yeah, it was
at
awesome.
the David L. Lawrence Convention Center
Yeah.
for 2 of our guests at 2AC. So that was pretty incredible to see.
Yeah, thank you. It was my first wedding, and so I enjoyed myself very much as well. And my next question is about the County Housing Opportunity Fund and whether there's a possibility of making that happen and even getting it into next year's budget.
Housing remains a priority for my administration, so we'll look at any tool available to us to be able to put more affordable units online, but also make sure that people can age in their homes with dignity, that we can move people from shelter systems to stable housing, and create more opportunities for first-time home buyers. So, we'll use all of our means and tools necessary to do that.
Okay, one thing I would just add is like focal point on eviction prevention. I've been
Yes.
really worried that is running out, and those funds are something that we very much need so that we,
Yes.
especially while we're down a shelter.
Yes,
But,
thank you
yeah.
for pointing that out. We
Yeah.
do have a plan to extend the Lawyer of the Day program, and I do, we look forward hopefully to the passage of the proposed budget from Governor Shapiro that actually sets aside state dollars for eviction prevention and representation.
Awesome. And then last question about the jail is kind of a two-part question, is if there's been any conversations or plan to work with council and the courts to shrink the size of the jail. I mean, we just had a meeting before this about the, funding and making sure the pensions can get vested, and it's a lot of overtime's happening in that jail specifically. And so I want to know, if there's any plan for shrinking the size in coordination with the other folks who can help do that, and also any update on the long-awaited new jail uniforms and worker stipends.
So, as you may have known, for the past few years, the county was a recipient of a MacArthur grant, which looked at how to reduce the jail population by finding efficiencies and things that did not impact public safety. So we have, over the years, reduced the size of the population of our jail. And as of now, there's no additional there's nothing additional on the table to look at how we're reducing that, besides finding efficiencies within the court system, within the services that we provide. And there's an opportunity, for example, where people who are in the general population are identified as good candidates to go to alternative housing, like Renewal, where the folks who administer the jail and administer the programs have identified these individuals, and it's just up to the judge now to grant that transfer to a place like Renewal, an alternative housing program. And, that list is getting a little long, so, we've talked to the courts about revisiting some of their cases and seeing if they agree with the fact that those individuals would be good candidates for that. So things like that we're looking at. And hiring at the jail continues to remain a challenge. We are having many onboarding classes and, getting folks on and working as correctional officers. We are having a challenge keeping them. So we're getting people in the door, but we're not keeping them. And a lot of that has to do with work-life balance issues and some other things that hopefully, between all parties working together, our legal team, our administration, and the union, we can come to an agreement on how we can move forward and better staff the facility.
Cool. And uniforms and worker stipends?
So the uniforms, I believe, are, they should be in soon, and then there'll be a phased process to transfer everyone. So there'll have to be, there'll be a deliberate process to do that. We'll get an update at the Jail Oversight Board meeting next week.
Cool.
And then same with worker stipend and pay.
get an
They'll
update
provide
on
an
that.
update, yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here.
Sure.
I have two questions.
is the current average rate of detention at the Allegheny County Jail as of a week ago, beginning or last month in June? What was the rate, the number of individuals detained in the jail?
Councilman DeWalt, I do not have the number.
So I'll take the 1750.
We do have a public dashboard that does have the numbers on it.
The second question that I have, what is the average number of individuals detained in the county jail in June or March, April, or June in 2019? I would speculate if my numbers serve me well, I think we were averaging somewhere around 2,800 around during that period. So I just want to make note that there has been a significant rate of reduction of individuals housed in the county jail over the past several years in general. And it's just a point I want to.
So I did pull up the numbers. I appreciate you bringing that up, Councilman. So yes, we had 1,700 in June 2024 was our average daily population, and that is, it is a slight increase from last June and a decrease from a number of years ago, from 2020, where it was over 2,500.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. County Executive, thanks for coming today. I listened to your address. One of the things I didn't hear you mention was the reopening today of the old Schumann Center. I believe you've changed the name of it to Highland Detention Center, but or at least I've seen that's how to be referred to.
I think that's a Delphi.
Okay, but so do you want to mention that? I think it's a step forward, for the county here. I think it's something that's been desperately needed. We've heard from the Allegheny County Chief of Police President, as well as the President Judge at the time, Kim Clark, from the Allegheny County Court of Common Pleas, who came before council and talked about that. So they've opened today. Do you have any insight as to when potentially phase 2 might get underway, which would take and open or start construction on the rest of those pods?
I don't have a date off the top of my head, but we are moving forward. One of the things that we wanted to ensure now that this next phase is under the new, my administration's and new administration's control, is to ensure that there's community voice in the further development of that facility. It's one of the reasons why we've sent over the list of advisors to appoint, because those are professionals in the field, and we would like them to be available in a formal capacity to be able to serve in an advisory capacity to the county and Adelphoi as we move forward with the additional phases of the construction of Schumann.
Okay, and I'm sure you don't have the answer right now to this question, but maybe the staff does. What is the total cost of the new uniforms for the jail inmates that are being spent today? Do you know?
We can get that for you.
Okay. And then the third thing would be, one of the things that you're heavily involved with, I see, is you're working with the city and the Mayor Gainey on, you're talking about how we're integrated, and we really are. We have multiple layers of government that serve our citizens. So whether you're a resident of the city or a resident of any of the municipalities, the 129 other municipalities in Allegheny County, we represent everyone. Recently, they were struggling because they only appeared to have one plumber trying to work to turn on their water fountains and get the pools and the splash pads up. I don't know how many plumbers we have employed here in Allegheny County, but did we offer any assistance to them to be able to try to help or assist in this? Because again, it's about the quality of life for all of our folks.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, our incredible team of plumbers did step up, answer the call to help the city get all of the pools open, make sure water fountains were on for people who were walking in our beautiful city parks. And I believe they were also assisted by Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority.
Okay, could someone just reach out to us and give us an update on that? Because, the radio media was reporting that these still aren't, all turned on. I just want to make sure we're.
Yeah, the city announced that they are doing some stuff contracting. I think there were labor issues about employees. But we did reach out and offer support and ask some questions, and they clarified for us why they were going the route that they were going.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Anyone else?
Yes, no questions. Just wanted to thank.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, Ron. We got President Katina on the phone. He has a question. President Katina is on the phone. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Chairman Palmieri?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, County Executive, for coming before us today. Just a quick question. One of the items on our agenda tonight is to actually pass the capital, the bond issue. And one of the things that I've been advocating for a number of years is an upgrade to our 911 system and our communication system. I know out in my area, in Councilman Palmasina's area, we get constant complaints, not only from the police, but from the fire departments about the dead areas within our communities, the 50 corridor through Rennerdale, all the way up through South Fayette. And I was wondering if you could, obviously, since we're going to be voting on a piece of this tonight, if you could share possibly some information about that radio system upgrade.
Sure. Thank you, President Katina, and sorry that you're under the weather and can't join us in person today. But like you mentioned, part of this bond issuance is updating a critical system of public safety communications. And this public safety communications, it operates across 100 frequencies using 37 radio towers countywide. And, this is the final piece of infrastructure that we need to fully deploy our modern 911 center, which kind of rolled out in a patchwork way. So this is going to provide new radio equipment for the nearly 400 public safety agencies countywide. It's also going to switch us from an analog system to a new digital system. It's going to improve security and create interoperability countywide. And Chief Brown is available if you have additional questions about the investment.
No, that's it. Thank you very much. I just think it's a worthwhile investment in the future for the safety of all of our first responders. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Palmieri, Chairman Palmieri. And thank you very much, County Executive, for coming in and giving us a great report. I know you're very active. I see you all the time and at different events, and it's very encouraging. You have a lot of energy, so thank you. My quick ask is that I am very glad to hear that we have finally identified a Board of Health, the director. Mm-hmm. And it's Dr. Ulia is how I would pronounce it, right? Vaughn?
Yulia Vaughn. Okay.
I'm making an ask that as you're bringing new and getting the opportunity to bring new directors in, I'm making the ask on behalf of council, whether you've asked or not, is that could we get an opportunity to meet the doctor? I think that the health department is crucial for every member of council, all of our constituents. It touches everyone on the council. And I think as we're pivoting from the crisis, the COVID crisis, we are, and you're putting more things under the umbrella of the health department, the housing and the lead and things like that. It's great. These are great initiatives, but I think it would be good for council to meet the doctor to just establish a relationship so that, because ultimately we're the conduits to the constituents and the community that you're talking about, and we can bring the sense of what is going on in the health department to our constituents. And it would be helpful if we could meet him the doctor as well as other directors that you bring in. So that would be really helpful. That's my ask. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Councilwoman. And yeah, happy to set up a meeting between council and Dr. Van. She is in the process of moving from North Carolina, where she ran a public health department in Guilford County, and she'll be joining us in August. So we'll be creating a whole plan of meet and greets that she'll be responsible for. But, you know, we can make sure that she's in front of council as well.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Bob, go ahead.
No, just not a question. I just wanted to give you a shout out and thank you for hitting the ground running. I've been working with Ernest and Grant and Darla and all your directors. The open door policy and the phone calls I have, they answer right away. And I just think that you're doing a tremendous job. I look forward to working with you in the upcoming budget. And I just wanted to give you a personal thank you, that's all.
Well, thank you. I'm able to do a tremendous job because I have a tremendous team, and they work very, very hard, and I'm really grateful for them.
And just one more thing I would add with respect to the question that was raised by Councilmember Filiaggi. President Katina, Councilmember Nasseretti Chapkus, and I met with Dr. Van last week, and she did indicate that she would be very happy to sit down with council, you know, upon her arrival at some point.
Brilliant.
Sure.
Thank you.
I think. Anything else? Thank you very much, Madam.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have a proclamation, 13115-24.
Actually, before proceeding, please let the record reflect that Ms. Hallam and Ms. Nakaradi Chapkus are now with us. 13115-24 is a proclamation recognizing Glendale Hose Company No. 1 upon the occasion of their 150th anniversary, sponsored by Councilmember Paul Messina.
I'll put in your proclamation, so you know it's a big deal if he's doing it.
Oh, he doesn't, he hates them.
I know, that's what I mean.
I keep telling him we're going to bring, what's his name back?
Oh, Tom, the two. I want to make
Good evening, everybody. I want to first thank the chief for his attendance tonight. This is a new area for me. I just got redistricted, so I look forward to working with you and your team. We all know what the volunteers do, but we got to find a way to get the numbers up. I know they've been being decreased over the last couple of years, and I think maybe with the tax credit rebate, that might be a step in the right direction. So I look forward to working with you, and I thank you for coming down. The Glendale Fire Department was established in 1874 to serve the area surrounding the No. 2 mine of the Mansfield Coal and Coke Company in the Glendale area. After World War II, there was a crucial need for the ambulance services. Prior to the war, local hospitals provided ambulance services, which were discontinued due to the wartime shortages of personnel and materials. Although the Scott Township Police Department offered limited ambulance services, demand often exceeded their capacity. The department became Glendale Hose Company No. 1 in the 1930s and began providing ambulance services to the community. The collaborative efforts among Scott Township's fire departments, Bower Hill, Glendale, and East Carnegie, have historically strong, sharing, and unified mission. This collaboration intensified in 2007 when the East Carnegie joined Bower Hill and Glendale in supporting the Scott Township Emergency Medical Services. In 2009, the combination of these departments, along with the jointly owned Scott Township EMS, culminated in the formation of the Scott Township Fire District. This alliance enhances operational coordination and provides a consolidated administrative framework for the departments, ensuring efficiency and effective services delivery to the community of about 17,000 residents in a roughly 4-square-mile radius. I congratulate the Glendale Hose Company No. 5 upon the occasion of its 150th anniversary, and I recognize and commend the members of their bravery and selfless services. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Scott Cavey. Last name is, for the record, is C-A-V-E-Y. I'm a lifelong resident of Carnegie, Scott Township, I've actually known Pat probably since he was a kid, almost. I've been a firefighter for over 40 years, majority of it with Glendale Hose Company number 1. Also this year, I became actually the president of the hose company and also the chief of Scott Township EMS. First, I'd like to thank council for the initial, with the upgrade of the radio system. It's been a great help. I do agree with Pat and several other people. There are dead spots as we, as EMS, are going everywhere. We're going helping other communities like South Fayette, Bridgeville, Mount Lebanon, Green Tree, Craft, and Ingram. I mean, we are all basically all over the place. We do the best we can with what we have. Again, I strongly support what's going on with the radio system. It's been a great help again, and with the radios, so we're not patching things together and buying cheaper equipment to try to rely on our lives with it. With that being said, I don't want to take up too much of your time. We did have a celebration at Ackley Shore Stadium about a month or two ago. We invited all of our former members who are inability to respond or even assist with fundraising. A few of them showed up. We honored them. I'm usually a talker, so I apologize up front. I think I stood on the podium more than I was, browsing with other people and state representatives who decided to show up, who actually, even though, for example, Anita Kulik, who's not our representative anymore, still comes. We have food trucks every Tuesday, all summer long till September. As much as she can, she shows up. And we're throwing this out there to everybody else. We have our second time, we're having a barbecue cookout in Scott Park on September 14th and a concert with 3 bands. It's all day combined with our public safety day. Everyone comes out and supports us. Everyone knows we're worthwhile organizations. We try to do our best. So I thank council for tonight. I won't take up any more of your time, and I appreciate it, and looking forward if needed. Mr. Katina has my contact information. If you'd like to reach out to me at any point in time, feel free, and I thank you for the proclamation.
I just want to say thank you guys for everything you do. As you've known me basically my entire life, Scott, since you've seen me grow up, and I've seen Glendale mature, and Glendale's a first-rate firefighting. I mean, I can't speak more highly enough about Glendale. I mean, they're great. And your Scott Township EMS, celebrating 150 years, celebrating this long time. I mean, what you're celebrating, it's truly incredible. So thank you for your service, and thank all of your firemen and all of your EMS and all of your first responders for everything that they do. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Especially from Sunday for the fire and fire real.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I'm sorry that you've had to know Pat your whole life. Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Wow.
Thank you. I won't miss you, guys.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Number 3, West Middle.
I worked at Westminster. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you.
Moving on, we have public comment on agenda items.
We have several. First up is Helen Gerhart.
Thank you for taking our comments today. Before I begin, would everyone who is here to speak for an inclusive and environmentally just climate action plan, please stand up. So we are very appreciative of our county executive's commitment to inclusive process. And we know that she is concerned about climate action plan and environmental justice. We were concerned to learn from her Chief of Staff, Grant Gitlin, that the current request for quotations, this cap is to be focused just on county operations. We do remind the administration that this ordinance actually instructs the Department of Sustainability to reference the goals of the Pittsburgh Climate Action Plan as well as the PA Action Plan. So that certainly went beyond just city operations. It did bring together a cross-sector group of people to help write the chapters, and it took a renewed Plan 3.0, the Pittsburgh Climate Action Plan 3.0, took a renewed approach to climate change mitigation by presenting action plans and strategies in 6 key areas: energy generation and distribution, buildings and end-use efficiency, transportation and land use, waste and resource recovery, food and agriculture, and urban ecosystems. We really hope that County Council, the County Executive, and Department of Sustainability will learn from the best examples of climate action plans. We provided an example from Erie County, which Grant Gitlin noted is excellent, and it's analogous to our own region. The climate justice is interwoven throughout all of the chapters. The plan's Climate Justice Working Group reviewed all the outputs of every chapter with a justice lens and made suggestions where equity considerations were missing. This helped to ensure that equity focus was not lost while putting together the plan's goals, strategy, and action items. It also included regular reporting and benchmarks, which then led to to revision based on those publicly available data benchmarks about how was it working. So we do need a plan that sets out benchmarks and that keeps the thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next 3 speakers are Chief Pomaj Chakmam Yajalaji, I apologize for mispronouncing that, I'm sure, Edward Wren, and Paul LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Bawashka Alik to Ka'al. Greetings to you all. I'm glad to be here to speak today about transparency within the Climate Action Plan. My title is Pamai Chakmam Yahalahi. I'm the Grand Inca of my lineal nation, the Ongwe Onwe, Bakab Kob Utsil Uishwiil, and I'm also the Chief of Medicine, Land Management, and Stewardship with the Iroquois Confederacy of Aboriginal American People. I am a member of the Climate Action Committee and collaboration. We've worked diligently with regards to studying what needs are to be met for the community. And I'm here today to say that we deserve transparency, that this must be a transparent process, because if there is no transparency, there is no accountability, and they go hand in hand. It also goes hand in hand with inclusion. If we're going to be inclusive, and this is going to be an inclusive process, there must be transparency. So we stand together in solidarity with the people who have done this great work with understanding what the conditions are of our area, this territory. We call it the Delaware Territory. You know it affectionately as Allegheny County. And so it is important that transparency be made by the county CAP process. And whomever is going to be chosen that is going to be this consultant must work with our people, all of the people, and including Indigenous people. I've had conversations with Sarah Anamarato. I was hoping she would stay, and she's agreed that Indigenous voices are important to be within that committee that's going to be an oversight committee or some kind of committee that's going to work with community members and members of our CAP. We've done a lot of great work. We know what the needs are of our communities, especially the frontline communities, the ones who are most adversely affected with air pollution, air quality issues, water quality issues, soil issues, issues beyond the county. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Ed Wren of Pittsburgh. I'm speaking on behalf of the Pittsburgh Green New Deal, and I'm going to keep this short, hoping that you will please read my written testimony. We ask County Council and administration to reconsider the timing, goals, and cost effectiveness of the RFQ process to hire a consultant to support the Climate Action Plan process. We believe that our county has great resources in government, thank you, academia, business, nonprofits, and of course our citizens to create a model climate action plan tailored to us, minimizing the need for consultants. For example, you've already heard Helen say that we and other people have compared relevant CAP plans, or I should say CAP since it has plans in it, and that we also have a coalition to help gather community input. Let's trust ourselves to do most of the work to improve our environment while providing business and employment opportunities in our new green economy. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Paul LeBlanc. Used to live in Bloomfield, just moved to Squirrel Hill, and I've lived in a number of Pittsburgh neighborhoods over the years. And we need a climate action plan to help push back the environmental catastrophe that threatens to overwhelm our communities, our society, and our planet. I want to suggest some general principles and propose what I hope will be one of the plan's specific focuses. The Climate Action Plan for Allegheny County should advance the interrelated goals of conserving a healthy environment consistent with the economic well-being of our people. Such things should no longer be sacrificed in the interest of private profits for wealthy corporate elites, which has been the case for too many years. A key principle should be people before profit. It will take immense resources and labor to ensure an environment capable of sustaining the health and life of our people. This means a dramatic expansion of decent jobs to help make this so, especially to replace jobs lost through the decline of the coal, gas, and oil industries that have been poisoning our planet, creating climate change disasters. Decent jobs to help create decent living conditions must be a priority. We need to establish strong mechanisms of transparency and accountability and ensure democratic inputs from residents in all our communities, representatives of labor, and environmental organizations. Democratic decision-making must be a key element in reshaping our economy to provide a decent life for all. A specific proposal involves the abandoned gas wells that are leaking harmful toxins, including methane, a potent greenhouse gas, into the atmosphere. There are 3 million abandoned wells nationally. Oop, time to stop? Ooh, a minute, okay. An estimated 350,000 are in Pennsylvania, but only 27,000 have been identified. In Allegheny County, many of these are in public parks and near residential areas. The Inflation Reduction Act has earmarked over $44 million, I wish it was billion, but $1 million to plug such wells in Pennsylvania. And a newly passed congressional bill from Representative Summer Lee focuses on finding, plugging, and cleaning up abandoned oil and gas wells. The Climate Action Plan should help advance, oversee, and implement such efforts, according to the previously stated general principles, starting with our public parks and then embracing all of Allegheny County. Thank you.
The next group of 3 is Jamie Christian, Melanie Mead, and Fawn Walker Montgomery.
Good evening. My name is Jamie Marie Christian. I'm the founder and executive director of an organization called Let Us Turn Up the Beat Sustainability Collective. I would like to, I live in South Park and my organization is based in Carrick. We are a community impact nonprofit. Thank you so much for sharing your time and space with us this evening. And thank you so much to Councilperson Prizio for your work with sustainability and green initiatives. I would like to address what a climate action plan or CAP is and why we need one. I also ask that the development of a CAP be an inclusive public process involving those most impacted, including Indigenous and our separate and distinct Aboriginal American communities. A climate action plan is a framework to measure, track, and reduce greenhouse emissions. CAPs include key specific components to help, to help meet those goals, including strategies and targets for clean energy and economic development. Climate action plans enable communities to identify and form equitable strategies to address their biggest sources of climate changing emissions and climate risk. Human-caused climate change has resulted in unpredictable weather patterns, more frequent storms, runoff, erosion, and catastrophic damage to our ecosystem. It also accelerates damage to and extinction of native plant and animal populations. As temperatures increase, changing climates also cause migration of plants and animals. For example, coyotes in Allegheny County. I'm 46 years old. When I was little, we did not have them, and I've been a lifelong Allegheny County resident. Now they're everywhere. Lock up your dogs. Among flora, the impacts of the mycelia and microbes in our soil, which travel about 300 miles across the surface and 12 miles below. Mycelia and microbes are important for the health of our native ecosystem and also for public health. They help us maintain a healthy gut and remove heavy metal toxins from the soil. Southwestern Pennsylvania has one of the highest rates of autoimmune and neurodegenerative disorders in the world. I unfortunately suffer from two. It's not genetic. We have, and it's mostly amongst women. Recent findings attribute this to the heavy metal toxins left behind from the coal and steel industries. Rising temperatures increase the spread of bacteria as well as respiratory and gastrointestinal viruses. High temperatures put strain on our cardiovascular system and damage our kidneys, liver, and nervous system. Rising temperatures also increase stress levels and contribute to mental health degradation. It's predicted that there will be a loss of up to 4% of our gross domestic product by the end of the century due to mortality and climate-related disasters. Climate-related disasters cost the United States more than $415 billion in the past 3 years, mostly from hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, and increased frequency of heavy rains. Our soil is being depleted of nutrients, impacting our agricultural community. As of 2022, we had 372 farms in Allegheny County, and that's a 40% decrease from 2017. A decreasing local food supply affects everyone in the county, especially for the most vulnerable among us. Thank you again for your time and action towards creating a CAP and and continue to work to create a happier, healthier, and safer Allegheny County. Thank you.
We don't have Melanie Mead or Fawn Walker Montgomery?
Okay. First, I want to thank Anita and Michelle for all their work on environmental justice, and Bethany just for being on the right side of everything. And wildly enough, I agree with what Bob Macy said earlier about the Mon Valley. So I'm here to represent myself, of course, Black people everywhere, as well as the Volunteer Steering Committee. And I like to say volunteer because y'all need to know that was volunteer. It was people in the area who just got together and gave a damn about what was going on with environmental justice. So we gave our time, and I hope that that is respected moving forward. I also represent, yes, y'all need to clap for that. I also represent my ancestors, and we're talking about environmental justice as well. So I was here a while ago to talk to you all about living in a sacrifice zone, because that's what the Mon Valley is at this point. It's a sacrifice zone for environmental justice. And when you look at those issues, it's usually in communities of color where other marginalized people live. So there's a lot of threats of climate change that have been already talked about today, from the heat, which affects a lot of our kids in our schools, landslides, floods, pest issues with farming, which leads to the food apartheid that exists in the Mon Valley, other health issues like asthma and cancer, you all should know that there is an area in Clarion called Cancer Row, because so many people have died there from the effects of environmental justice as well as the steel mill. Also here to talk to you all about the inclusive public process that should take place within CAP. So for all the reasons that I just named, it should include those most impacted. So that would include people of color, people with disabilities, immigrants, climate refugees, Aboriginal Americans, First Americans, and other indigenous and native people, LGBTQ+ people, formerly incarcerated people, unhoused people, youth, and those in rural communities. So along with the inclusive public process, there should also be a community task force with the leadership of those most affected. The task force would work with your sustainability department. We should also have community meetings, or some in fully accessible buildings with ventilation, COVID vulnerable people, technology, ASL interpretation, hybrid participation options, provide childcare various times throughout the day, not just one day, various times throughout the day to accommodate different people. They should have public meeting registration forms. We should also have engagement education of those most affected as well. And with the public community meetings and other forms of engagement, it should be media releases, radio, television. We should provide ongoing peer-reviewed, science-based educational sessions as well, and then public education and community meeting content. So I just like to stress that this process needs to be inclusive, and the people who you put on your task force should look like me, because that's the people most affected. I can't breathe where I live. Y'all need to understand that. I can't breathe the air. I have asthma. My people are dying on a daily basis. So whatever y'all do with regards to this inclusive process, this task force, it should include people that look like me. It is damn time. It is damn time that y'all do something about this environmental justice.
Next three are Marcia Bandies, Julia Mente, and Juan Lingdao.
So good evening, and thank you for having me. My name is Marcia Bandies. I'm in Squirrel Hill. And I just first want to wrap up Helen Gerhardt's talk. She had one or two other points that she really wanted to make. So we also urge County Council to expand the ordinance to require the CAP to help plan and coordinate cross-municipal harm prevention, recovery, mitigation, and transformative system changes to help residents and communities adapt to the escalating damages of climate, many of which we have seen this year: deadly heat waves, tornadoes, flooding, landslides, the destruction of homes, and critical infrastructure. Further, it must address the many diseases and harms caused by a long legacy of rampant pollution, discriminatory housing and zoning policies, and environmental racism that has displaced Black and brown people and people with disabilities into the areas most threatened by climate change and disasters. And a lot of that I know you've already heard from the previous speakers, but we urge the county, and this is mine, we urge the county council amend the CAP ordinance to require that the climate action plan embed equity and environmental justice goals into all metrics in planning, with regular evaluation and adjustments to address the physical, social, and economic well-being of populations that have experienced systemic discrimination, environmental racism, and disproportionate impact of climate change. Develop strategies for achieving those goals and substantive input from environmental justice community stakeholders and residents, with pivot points and backup plans based on outcome measures. We have to measure what we're doing for those communities. Establish metrics for evaluating and quantifying inclusivity of public process, as recommended by the Urban Institute comment letter on the Council of Environmental Quality, Climate and Economic Justice. There's a screening tool. So include race, gender, disability, and income, and as indicators in identifying justice communities to avoid perpetuating patterns of disadvantage. Even when controlling for income, race, and is the strongest and most significant predictor of exposure to environmental hazards due to centuries of intentionally and unintentionally racist economic land use policies. Measure cumulative impacts and prioritize communities with the greatest environmental hazard, like the Mon Valley, exposure and the greatest economic and public health burdens, and define the benefits from recommended investments and health and environmental outcomes to be measured not only by whether the investments result in positive outcomes, but also by what degree, since direct, indirect, and induced economic, health, and environmental benefits can take time to manifest, specified durations of time and cadence, of which the benefits will be measured and reported on. And lastly, that's okay. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Hi, thank you for having me here today. My name is Julia Menti. I'm a lifelong Pittsburgher, a social worker here, and a member of the Climate Action Plan and Environmental Justice Coalition. I want to also speak about accountability and the importance of that in our Allegheny County Climate Action Plan. So within our coalition, we put together a research team to understand how other cities, counties, and municipalities have made climate action plans and how they've been successful and what challenges they've faced. So our calls for accountability are actually based in that research and the findings that we will have a more successful climate action plan if we follow that, if we incorporate accountability into our plan. If we do not do that, then we know that our plan will suffer, our environment will suffer, and the people of Allegheny County will suffer. So we've drafted a letter based on the research that we've done in order to explain what the pitfalls are in drafting climate action plans, and I want to also highlight some of these important features. We want to have updates on the plan as it is being drafted so that we can have say in what we want to see. We want to make sure that the body that you are talking about forming will actually have real input into the development of the climate action plan and have the ability to see those drafts and have our say on what we need to see in them. We are skeptical, as others have mentioned, in the idea of a consultant having the say on what happens with our Allegheny County Climate Action Plan, but we're willing to work with that process because it's already been put in motion. So when this happens, we want to see that we are involved in a real way with real input ability. We are dedicated to the development of a strong, enforceable, and inclusive climate action plan for Allegheny County, and we want to lead by example in environmental justice, and we support the extension of the deadline for the climate action plan so that we can have, and our coalition and others in the county can have a meaningful say in the development of the climate action plan, including these important accountability measures. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm a neighbor from Homewood, and my comment is about the Climate Action Plan. This shouldn't be about greenwashing government operations. It's about making sure that in Allegheny County, everybody has a safe and a healthy future. In my neighborhood, we are getting a new sports facility, which is great, but the people who designed it didn't really talk to us who live there. They ended up causing a bunch of problems. They put only a very small amount of parking, and also it was in the wrong spot, so they had to redesign the whole thing. Also, they didn't do the proper ground studies, so they run into issues that ended up causing more delays, and also they needed to replan what materials they were going to use for the construction because of that. And it was supposed to be done by last year, but they are still stuck in this issue. So this is exactly what could happen if the Climate Action Plan doesn't get any community oversight or any community input, and we don't get everyone involved. And I mean everyone. The folks in communities hit the hardest by the climate change. They're the ones who know what they need, and they need to be consulted, and they need to have some representation somehow on the say on the decisions of how the climate action plan is going to proceed. We have to make an active effort to go where they are and listen to them. Also, they need to be involved in the decisions as this is in representation. So that's why I support the initiative to establish a community-based and not only a government employee-based advisory board or task force to help guide this plan. And other plans as well that are involving climate justice. This board should be made of people from all walks of life, especially those from the neighborhoods or which are in the condition that are already feeling the effects of climate change the most. And we have heard a few examples already, so they have to be represented in there. And also, the planners need to do a real outreach, have conversation, and really listen to what people are saying, so to avoid these kind of just issues. This isn't just about being nice. This is about making a plan that actually works and that gets done on time and on budget. When we listen to our neighbors, we can create a plan that is not only smart, but it's also fair. A plan that tackles the root causes of climate change, makes us stronger, and helps everyone in Allegheny County thrive, and I would love to see that. Thank you.
The next group of three is Ilyas Khan, Peter Stamoulis, and Leslie Santola.
Hi, folks. Look who's back. How are you guys? So, you know that every time I come here, the only thing I really talk about is young people, and that's because I am one of those, and the only people I talk to are young people. Actually, that's not true. I talk to a lot of y'all folks. I love you guys. But the last time I was here, this body made a decision that lost a lot of confidence in a lot of young voters across this county. And I talked to those young voters because what else am I doing with my time? So right now, we are giving y'all an opportunity on a silver platter to regain some of that trust from young voters in this county. And that is a 2-step, maybe 3 steps tops, procedure for how to include young people in this plan. It's real simple, folks. First, extend the deadline. Second, create a community task force. And third, ensure that there are youth representatives on that community task force. Everyone on this council, and everyone back here too, wants to make sure that people enjoy living here, wants to make sure that people stay here. All of y'all either have a young family or kids or grandkids, nieces and nephews. You want them to stick around, right? If you want us to stay, then you have to dream as big as we do. You have to let us be a part of that dream. If the only people who are participating in this are people who are over 35 who work for Allegheny County, then you're not really having a vision of the future. And I think Chief Pomaj and I would agree when I say every governmental body must be thinking 7 generations ahead. And that means you include the generation that comes after you. And it's a very, very simple process. It starts literally with being the professor that says, hey, guys, we're going to move your final from Tuesday to Friday. What a sense of relief for your poor sustainability office people who are probably thinking, oh, crap, the deadline was yesterday. So let's make sure that there is a due process. Let's make sure that people from this community have the opportunity to use their voices in this process, because otherwise what you're going to be stuck with is you're going to be stuck with a lot of dissatisfied young people who are no longer invested in this county and its future. If you want this county to have a future, you need to let the future be a part of making it a reality. So thank you all very much for your time, and I drew some of y'all while I was sitting here waiting for this. So I hope, I'm sorry I couldn't make it to you, Bob, my hand got tired, but I hope you all like the little portraits. Y'all have a nice evening.
Do we have Mr. Stamoulis or Ms. Santola?
Hello, and good evening, council members. My name is Leslie Santola. I am a member of Allegheny County. I currently reside in Wilkinsburg. I'm the advocacy director at Upstream Pittsburgh, and we are the convener of the Environmental Justice Table. I'm here this evening expressing support of the amendment of Ordinance 2323 or in order to extend the deadline for the completion of the Allegheny County Climate Action Plan to July 1st, 2025. By extending the deadline, the council will demonstrate their commitment to prioritizing the health and well-being of Allegheny County constituents, community members, and residents, as well as demonstrate that you all understand your responsibility in protecting the planet that sustains human life. After all, that is the very reason we're here today. The Department of Environmental Protections, the Environmental Protection Agency, and Department of Justice have begun creating new plans around serving environmental justice communities by meaningfully engaging with community members and educating those who are most impacted. They're doing this because we already have research that tells us that meaningful engagement with community members of environmental justice community produces meaningful results that are sustainable and regenerative solutions to climate change. Given these facts, it is disappointing that Allegheny County seems to be completely confident moving forward with the usual suspects at the table while admittedly leaving community members out who have informed the plan up until this point without payment. This is par for the course given our history here in Pittsburgh, but also for what we are seeing today with our federal government. The people's wants and needs don't matter when they don't allow with corporate interest and American values. Our climate crisis is not going to be resolved by leaving out black and brown folks. White people and those in power have for far too long turned a blind eye to and or participated in community disinvestment, policies rooted in racism, displacement, and gentrification. We cannot find a resolution until we acknowledge, admit, and work to repair our city's long history of racial injustice that continues today. We cannot continue to rely on professionals and experts, nonprofits, universities, lobbyists, scientists to think, do, and research our way out of this. If that were the case, then why have we arrived at this point today? These agencies and experts are major drivers of oppressive systems, and it's time we directly confront the damage that colonialism and capitalism has had on black and brown people and our planet. Tonight, I ask Allegheny County Council to do the right thing and extend the cap deadline to July 21st, 2025. This will allow the community time to produce a strong team of experts with diverse backgrounds, cultures, and experiences. When I say experts, that absolutely includes community members. They are the experts of their community, and they can attest to the abhorrent and unjust conditions they have been left to deal with throughout history and still today. The only way to move forward is through inclusive collaboration. We cannot accomplish climate goals in silos. Our nonprofit sector is funded by and operating like industry, and it's perpetuating harmful and racist practices that are leaving communities in the Mon Valley, like the Mon Valley and Homewood, to die. Thank you very much.
The next group is Mackenzie McFarland, Dana Seiler, and Alejandro Sanchez.
She's not here. She's not here, but she says, go for it.
Thank you. Thank you, Allegheny County Council. Thank you, Anita Aparicio. Thank you, Ilias, for that wake-up call and showing exactly why we need the voices of young people and people of color here. Thank you, Fawn, for your testimony. And as a wake-up call, my name's Dana Seiler. I'm here with Citizens Climate Lobby. And I'm here to raise my voice in support of the Allegheny County cap and in Anita Aparisio's amendment for Ordinance 2323 OR to give the Sustainability Council time to work on this. This is a super important project, and we need the voices of everyone from the community included in this so that it is a cap that the people can accept. So as another wake-up call, we had a heat wave here in Pittsburgh the week of June 18th. And that heat wave was made 4 times more likely due to climate change. Okay, some people may disagree.
2,000.
Okay.
Like hundreds of times more likely since cleaned up.
Okay. Let the record show that some disagreement in the magnitude, but it is here and now. It is affecting us. It is affecting our communities. It is affecting the ability of people like my mom, elderly people across the county who don't have air conditioning, their health and well-being. So I didn't come here to just talk about the importance of acting and acting strongly, but I also came to talk about the need to make sure that it's the public's interest that's represented and not just the interests of the oil and gas lobby. According to the Marcellus money, the gas industry has given politicians in Pennsylvania over $11 million to candidates across the state between 2007 and 2018. We need to be wary of the power of this industry and make sure it does not dilute the ambition of this plan. The gas industry has already come into conflict with the public interest. Current Pennsylvania law allows fracking wells to be sited within 500 feet of residents, despite the fact that a University of Pittsburgh study from 2003 has shown that children living within a mile of fracking wells in Pennsylvania are up to 7 times more likely to develop lymphoma, a rare childhood cancer. So, it is important that we provide transparency in the cap to be sure that fossil fuel interests are not corrupting it. So I strongly support periodic public updates on the cap to the general public to make sure that it remains ambitious and in line with scientific guidance. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
Good evening. My name is Alejandro Sanchez. I work with refugees, and I'm going to talk about the impact of the lobby by the fossil fuel company. The word lobby has many meanings. It can be a group of people or a space, usually the waiting room of a hotel. Recently, however, we have learned through some justices that now private jets are also a space for lobby at the Supreme Court. An Exxon lobbyist said it plain and clear some years ago. There's nothing illegal about that. You know, we were looking out for our investments. We were looking out for our shareholders. They keep saying they do nothing illegal. However, this is not about law, but about accountability. And this is also beyond a conflict of interests. The lobby by the fossil fuel companies burns the bridges for representation. And instead of public participation, we have agreements behind closed doors. Yet, as a reminder, another meaning of lobby is precisely a public room next to the assembly chamber of a legislative body. One of the mottos of this society is the idea of self-reliance. The issue is that fossil fuel industry has been able to openly promote self-reliant individuals at the price of a self-reliant society. That price is being paid by nature and by uncountable marginalized communities. If we measure this industry by one of the key economic parameters, innovation, it has generated endless dependency on non-renewable resources and did not create independency or autonomy. So how innovative is it to completely deplete the natural resources? Isn't that, by the way, the very definition of inefficiency? All this is so unsustainable that they have to fund huge disinformation campaigns. Again, our lobbyists from Exxon said it clear. Did we aggressively fight against some of the science? Yes. They have to systematically lie about it in order to make it credible. Those tactics and gifts speak about the one who offered them, but also the one who accepts them. That is why we don't need a cap to be the result of gifts, trips, or drinks. Those gifts may be legal, yet we know by now many times the law is profoundly unjust and may favor an undemocratic outcome. Profit for them, devastation for all. A democratic cap can do better than that.
We have only 2 speakers left on agenda items. The first is Elisa Franco. The second signed up after the deadline for this evening's meeting, but her name is Gabrielle Lynn.
We have approval of minutes, 13116-24.
That's a motion to approve the minutes of the
I'm
June.
sorry.
Mayor Cook would like to speak.
I mean, we have rules, don't we?
We're done.
13116-24 is a motion to approve the minutes of the June 4th, 2024 regular meeting of council.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
Second.
And do we have a voice vote, please? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Presentation of appointments,
We have none?
unfinished
Dropping your
business.
gun.
We do these all the block. Committee on Appointment Review, second reading. If there are no objections, I would like to have the clerk read all the nominations, then have Ms. Nakaradi Chappis make a single motion to approve them all. Any objections? Nope. Okay.
1308124 is the appointment of Thomas Bergender to the Pittsburgh Regional Transit Board of Directors through July 2nd, 2028. 13082-24 is the appointment of Bobby Fan to the Pittsburgh Regional Transit Board of Directors through July 2nd, 2028. 13083-24 is the appointment of Gil Berry to the Southwest Pennsylvania Commission through December 31st, 2028. 13089-24 is the appointment of Lisa Freeman to the Allegheny County Conservation District through December 31st, 2026. 13090-24 is the reappointment of G. Eric French to the Allegheny County Conservation District through December 31st, 2027. 13091-24 is the appointment of Juan Garrett to the Allegheny County Conservation District through December 31st of 2027. 13092-24 is the reappointment of Anita Pritzio to the Allegheny County Conservation District through December 31st, 2024. And 13093 is approving corrected term end dates for a group of Allegheny County Conservation District Board members: Jenna Kramer through December 31st, 2026, Jason Singer through December 31st, 2024, Phyllis Anderson through December 31st, 2026, and John Scott through December 31st, 2024. All of those are sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Vice President Palmieri, the Committee on Appointment Review met on June the 25th, 2024, and has affirmatively recommended the appointments and reappointments as they've been presented this evening, and I'd like to make that motion, please.
Second.
We need a voice vote, or we need to have
I'd like discussion.
Can we have a discussion?
What discussion?
Just a question. Councilwoman Nakaradi Chapkus, on that last one, 13093-24, it says corrected end dates. And there are 2 individuals on there where the end dates are now 2024. Could you explain what that was? Was their term longer than that and they're being moved up to end earlier, or what? Could you explain that to me?
It was shared with me that what was submitted previously, and Mr. Barker, I don't know if you could pull that up for us, but Ernest has something else to share, that these terms, as they were presented previously and voted upon, were not in line with the Pennsylvania State Conservation Commission, so it was a matter of housekeeping. But Ernest, could you share additional details?
Yeah, Councilman DeMarco, per the state conservation district, state conservation statute, county has been on compliance with that time. We had a meeting with that. All the rules and protocols. These are the correct term dates that would be in line with the state statutes and state records. So we made a move to correct those records for our own.
So we're taking these folks off and replacing them with others?
Nope, all the appointments that are in front of you that are new appointments are new appointments, all the reappointments are reappointments. The folks who remain there are already on board, but we are just looking to modify their terms to be in line with the state statute and state records.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? 13109-24.
I apologize. We do need to do the vote on the appointments.
That was discussion.
Why do we have to do that? Can we do a voice vote?
Yes, you can.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. Okay, now we'll do 13109-24.
An ordinance of the County of Allegheny, Pennsylvania, authorizing the incurrence of non-electoral debt by and through the issuance of one or more series or subseries of federally taxable or tax-exempt general obligation bonds or notes known as Series C80 or known by such other names as designated by the county in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $198 million, and the issuance of one or more series or subseries of federally taxable or tax-exempt general obligation refunding bonds or notes known as Series C81 or known by such other names as designated by the county in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $247 million, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Thank you, Vice President Palmieri. The Committee on Budget and Finance met on June 26 and affirmatively recommended this ordinance. I move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second on the floor. Any comments? Vote, please.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Betkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Bonarotti. Mr. DeMarco.
Yes.
Ms. Filiaggi.
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis.
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam.
Yes.
Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Macy.
Yes.
Ms. Nacarati-Chapkus.
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri.
Yes.
Mr. Palmacina.
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio.
Yes.
Mr. Walton.
Yes.
President Katina.
Yes.
Ayes 14, no 0, with one member absent. The bill passes.
Thank you. 13111-24.
A resolution of the County of Allegheny amending the grants and special accounts budget for 2024, submission number 04-24, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Mr. Palmacina.
Thank you, Vice President Palmieri. The Committee on Budget and Finance met on June 26 and affirmatively recommended this resolution. I move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Betkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Bonarotti. Mr. DeMarco.
Yes.
Ms. Filiaggi.
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis.
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam.
Yes.
Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Macy.
Yes.
Ms. Nacarati-Chapkus.
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri.
Yes.
Mr. Palmacina.
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio.
Yes.
Mr. Walton.
Yes.
President Katina.
Yes.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill passes.
Thank you. 13110-24.
An ordinance approving the sale of a parcel of property identified as Demler Street, Township of North Versailles, Pennsylvania, Block and Lot 460D200 for the sale price of $5,500 to Edward Dandar, an adult individual and North Versailles resident, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Mr. Betkowski.
The Committee on Economic Development and Job Creation met on June 25th and affirmatively recommended this to council. I make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Betkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Bonarotti. Mr. DeMarco.
Yes.
Ms. Filiaggi.
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis.
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam.
Yes.
Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Macy.
Yes.
Ms. Nacarati-Chapkus.
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri.
Yes.
Mr. Palmacina.
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio.
Yes.
Mr. Walton.
Yes.
President Katina.
Yes.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill passes.
Thank you. 13000-24.
A resolution of the County Council of Allegheny County dissolving the Mount Nebo Point Tax Increment Financing District and authorizing related actions, sponsored by the Chief Executive.
Mr. Betkowski.
Committee on Economic Development and Job Creation met on June 25th and affirmatively recommended this to council. I make that motion.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Betkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Bonarotti. Mr. DeMarco.
Yes.
Ms. Filiaggi.
Yes.
Yep.
Mr. Fatulis.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Grisbeck.
Yes.
Ms. Hallam.
Yes.
Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Macy.
Yes.
Ms. Nacarati-Chapkus.
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri.
Yes.
Mr. Palmacina.
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio.
Yes.
Mr. Walton.
Yes.
President Katina.
Yes.
Ayes 14, no 0. The bill passes.
We have liaison reports. Anyone have a liaison report? None? Okay, thank you. Under new business, 13117-24.
An ordinance of the County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending and supplementing the Allegheny County Code of Ordinances, Part 2, entitled County Government Operations, through the creation of a new Chapter 206 entitled Juvenile Detention in order to provide for diversity in the management of the county's juvenile detention center, sponsored by Councilmember Hallam.
Well, yeah, I hope it goes to committee and then everybody supports it after it. Oh, I guess I could say, does anybody want to co-sponsor? But other than that, I can't wait to pass this to make sure that while we are incarcerating children in Schumann, they're cared for.
That will go to the Committee on Public Safety. 13118-24.
An ordinance of the County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Ordinance 23-23-OR in order to extend the deadline for finalization of a climate action plan by the Allegheny County Department of Sustainability to July 1st, 2025, sponsored by Councilmember Pritzio.
Councilwoman Pritzio?
Yes, point of privilege, please. I would like to make a motion to waive the second reading.
Second.
Motion and a second.
And I'd also like to co-sponsor.
Yeah, I'd like to co-sponsor too.
I would also like to co-sponsor.
Here that doesn't want to co-sponsor. We'll all co-sponsor.
Okay.
Now we need to vote on whether we're going to waive this.
Correct. This is the motion to waive the second reading.
What?
Okay, we're going to waive the second reading. Okay, let's have a roll call.
On the motion to waive, Mr. Petkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Bonarotti? Mr. DeMarco? Ms. Filiaggi?
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis?
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck?
Yes.
Ms. Hallam?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Macy?
No.
Ms. Nacarati Chapkus?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes?
Mr. Palmacina?
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio?
Yes.
Mr. Walton?
No.
President Katina?
Yes.
Ayes 11, noes 3. The motion to waive the second reading passes.
And we recommend a referral that goes to Committee on Sustainability. We waived the second, so we don't, okay.
So now we just vote on that.
Now we'll just vote. Okay.
I apologize, we need a motion and a second to approve or whatever.
I'd like to make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Okay. Now we can do the roll call, please.
Is there any discussion?
Well, you want to have?
No, just a question. It doesn't.
Does anyone have any discussion?
No, I know what I want to do.
I didn't see any hands up. Okay. Thank you. Roll call, please.
On the motion to approve, Mr. Petkowski.
Yes.
Mr. Bonarotti? Mr. DeMarco?
No.
Ms. Filiaggi?
Yes.
Mr. Fatulis?
Yes.
Mr. Grisbeck?
Yes.
Ms. Hallam?
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Mr. Macy?
No.
Ms. Nacarati Chapkus?
Yes.
Mr. Palmieri?
Yes?
Mr. Palmacina?
Yes.
Ms. Pritzio?
Yes.
Mr. Walton?
Yes.
President Katina?
Yes.
Ayes 12, noes 2. The bill passes.
Okay, we have, next is 13119-24.
A communication summarizing approved executive actions for the month of May 2024.
Motion?
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Motion second. Okay. Please vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? I know, I won't. Okay. Motion passes. Thank you. Now we have public comment on general items.
We have several. First up is Harry Liller.
See ya.
Oh, Jesus.
That's right.
I got it.
You killed it.
He's really bad.
At your convenience.
All right, my name's Harry Liller. I'm from Mount Washington. I grew up in Library, Pennsylvania. And I want to make first a statement about the climate action. Our biggest danger is Donald Trump. He'll pull us out of the climate controls like he did before. And that's what you should concentrate on. That's who you take your anger out on. He threatened the oil and gas people to give him $1 billion. And then he'll cut everything from us.
This isn't anger, it's determination.
But here we go. I have brought up Now it's called the Women's Healthcare Freedom Act Amendment. All adult women have control over their own bodies, and no outside interference can restrict this freedom. This is right to the point. We're making American history right now because, like I said before, the word woman and the word slave is not in the Constitution because they were considered property. Conservative Republicans, conservative judges, conservative religious people still treat women like that today. At the presidential debate last week, Donald Trump said the biggest lie of all, that Democrats kill babies when they come out of the woman's body. And not one media person will confront Trump over that. Why don't somebody say that on the internet? Make Trump accountable for his lies. Now, this is as far as a citizen can go. Councilwoman Bethany, I told the Sarah Intermado, the county executive, would her and you present this at the Democrat National Convention next month. That will show how Democrats care and love women while Republicans hunt them down like animals in Texas. That's what Kenneth Paxton is doing. And this guy is so evil. He even commits criminal acts against Texas Rangers. I wish Walker, Texas Ranger, was a real show and beat the crap out of Paxton. This is what we're up against today. Women should be treated equally. And I don't know what more I can do. Please, Councilwoman, I need you to at least email this to Senator Fetterman. We need 67 senators to pass this, and then it goes out to the states. The Republicans are not going to do it. So every no vote, we're telling everybody Republicans hate women. And in the states of Texas, Florida, and Missouri, get rid of those Republican senators. Please.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Lillard, can you give me a copy of that? Can I have it? Thank you very, very much. I wouldn't go to the DNC, but I will help get this there. All right? You're welcome.
Next.
Stephanie Waters.
Stephanie Waters here.
I didn't see her.
Okay. I'm not even going to try this.
I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm likely going to butcher this, but Ayalye Chanal Ka'in.
Not here. Next.
Chad Ringblom.
Chad here. Next.
Last up would be Iya Suzuni.
He's here.
Hello, everybody. My name is Iyas Hazuni. I live in Brookline. I'm here to talk to you about something that's hurting me personally, but something that needs the attention of the county as well. After a few months back, I talked for Palestine, but I've been targeted by Zionists who came here all dressed up. But afterwards, I've been attacked in various spaces. My Snapchat got hacked. I don't use it, but it got hacked anyway. Later on, I started using more password protection and what's not. They started mailing letters to the mosque to defame me. You have a copy of that. It's very graphic when you read it. So, but it is what they do. It is what they do when they're not wearing their suits. So I started working to basically protect my information online, protect my identity. I started de-Googling. I started putting things on services other than Google, services that I host on in my own house, so that nobody has access to my information. Nobody has access to my data. Any amount of improvement towards that helps. So I still use Gmail, but I don't host my pictures on Google anymore. I don't. I try my best to avoid using, their services, so that I host everything on my phone, on the server I have home. But on the Allegheny County website, you can actually search someone's address, and it lacks a lot of security. You can actually, it doesn't have a CAPTCHA, it doesn't have anything. So I went on it, found a couple of numbers there: 113-15237, 1504, 15237, 117-15215, 629-15106, 2763, 15102, 422-15234, 1000-15139, 839-15239, 409-15122, 1605-15219, 813-15217, 2579-15220.
Can we wrap it up, please?
315-15201, 24-15071, 7917-15237. Please create a security measure for the addresses of people on the website. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a motion to adjourn? Motion and second, all in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Meeting's adjourned.